Joining me tonight is Jeffrey Rosen, who is the president and CEO of the National Constitution Center and has a new book, The Pursuit of Liberty: How Hamilton versus Jefferson Ignited the Lasting Battle Over Power in America. It stores now. And what a perfectly timed read for this moment right now. And I just wonder, I just want to be clear. The 22nd Amendment plainly states no one can be elected president more than twice. That should basically end this entire conversation there. But in terms of how the president has been letting this float out there, as he did today when he was asked, are you ruling it out? I wonder what that comment says to you.
Well, the timing really is amazing, and some history is illuminating here. My new book actually begins with the fact that both Hamilton and Jefferson feared a president who would overstay his term and refuse to leave office. And Hamilton's solution is a president elected for life, so he won't be tempted to subvert democratic elections. Jefferson's solution is a one-year term limit for the president, so he won't, be tempted to run again. In the end, amazingly, James Madison and some others favor a life term for the president. That fails, and they choose to have no term limits. But for the rest of American history, people are worried about exactly this, a president who would refuse to leave office. The 22nd Amendment is passed in 1947 after Franklin Roosevelt breaks the two-term limit and runs for 4 terms. And the goal is, it says explicitly, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. That seems as clear as it could be. Now, as President Trump said, there is this workaround. He called it too cute, but the literal text would allow the president to run as someone else's vice president to get elected, then have the president who was elected be resigned, and then he could take the office by succession rather than election. He ruled it out there and said it was too cute, but the text would allow that. Short of that cute workaround, it's very hard to see how you could get around that textual limit. So we might find ourselves in exactly the situation that Hamilton and Jefferson feared, with a president extending his term and unconstitutionally refusing to leave office.
Yeah, and I've covered Trump for 10 years now, and I do think it's important to say, one, I don't think he wants to be written off as a lame duck president, which his aides fear obviously he will at some point in this term. And two, there is a notion and a history of his of saying something as a joke, and then it kind of takes on new meaning for him the more that he says it. We saw this. People told us he would leave office in 2020 and that he wouldn't say that the election was stolen after a certain period. And obviously he still says that to this day. But on your book on presidential power, that's a really interesting look at it. You write about the two philosophies that Hamilton and Jefferson have as these threads that have kind of framed the last 249 years of our American democracy. And I wonder what you think they would make of the constitutional pressures that the country does see in moments like today.
Well, it's really remarkable how prescient Jefferson was. He literally, when he gets a copy of the Constitution, says, I'm worried that a future president might lose an election by a few votes, cry foul, and refuse to leave office. So they were exactly afraid of this. All previous republics had fallen because they'd succumbed to demagogues like Julius Caesar. The founders are not sure that the system will work. They think what it requires is two things: the separation of powers. They think that Congress has got to do its job and check the president and stop him from being an elected dictator. And they really care about the virtue of the people. And they think that people have to defend liberty and also listen to differing points of view so they don't get totally polarized. At the end of his life, Jefferson places a bust of Hamilton across from his own. You can still see it at Monticello. He viewed Hamilton not as a hated opponent to be destroyed, but a respected debating partner to be engaged with. And we've got to get back to that spirit, or else the founders rightly feared that we may lose the republic.
Yeah, I loved how you wrote about that and what that symbolized, basically, that he did that, after living, after him and just, taking someone who he fought and so fiercely disagreed with and letting that continue. Jeffrey Rosen, congrats on the book, and thank you for joining me tonight. It's great to have you.